Cammy Craiglander and I were the last ones on the church school van. There's Guy, waiting for us, she said. Juggling. The van pulled to a stop in front of Mother Brown's cafe. Cammy wrestled her violin and her book bag from the floor, and we stepped out into the June heat. Mark, watch this, Guy called. He cautiously launched into the jug, one of the patterns he learned from juggling for the complete klutz, which he'd bought a couple weeks ago at the fun shop. Great, Cammy said without much interest. I'm going to find some shade. Me too, I said. Guy grinned and followed us, still juggling. What's the matter? He asked mockingly. No air conditioning in your church school van? Guy always needles us about church school, so I didn't bother to answer. The three of us finally arrived at the gazebo, a little round platform with a pointed roof supported by poles that stands between Mother Brown's and Ye Old Bookstore. On the top step, Cammie's pink sneakers squeaked to a stop. Oh, sick, she said. Empty Cheeto cheese snack bags, 7-Eleven Slurpee cups, and a cigarette pack or two lay scattered on the gazebo floor. A beer can lay on its side next to a sticky pool of warm slop. Yucko! Guy made a face. While Guy ponders that situation, let me introduce us. Guy Messerschmidt is my best friend. Cammie's 12, I'm 12 and a half, and Guy's 11. And I'm Mark Kruger. Our parents all work here at Country Hamlet, which is an old-timey village shopping center near a large city. Every school afternoon, we Hamlet kids have to find some way to kill an hour or two before our parents close up their shops and take us home. In a week, school will be out, which will be great, but then we'll have even more time on our hands. Oh, one more thing. Trust me, you'll get pretty tangled up in the great graffiti mystery unless you understand the country hamlet layout. So I've drawn you a diagram in my sketchbook, and here it is. Guy finished his inspection of the mess on the gazebo floor. Nothing like sticky warm beer to make a place look better, he said, straightening up. This place is a mess, Cammy sighed. I'll go to my dad's store and get a mop. You guys pick up the rest of the litter. Guy started scooping up trash. I picked up the beer can and ran all the way over to toss it into the huge brown trash bin behind Mother Brown's cafe. Probably the teen cruisers, Guy said when I got back. I heard them last night. Guy lives close. His mother runs Hamlet Daycare, just east of the antique shop. Cammy came back with a mop and a pail filled with soapy water, sloshing it on the sticky park bench and the boards underneath. She scrubbed hard. Boy, is my dad mad, she said. He's always said we need a night guard to keep those high school kids away. Is he going to tell Mrs. Wentworth? I asked. Mrs. Wentworth is the Hamlet landlady. You bet he's going to tell Mrs. Wentworth. Suddenly bored, I picked up my book bag, unzipped it, and took out my Stratmore sketchbook and a pencil. Cammy, let me draw you. Cammy gave the mop a final swish and sloshed it around the pail. You'll make my nose too big. That's why I need the practice. Well, hurry up. She sat down on a bench and turned her profile to me. I began to draw her forehead. A distant hammering sounded over beyond Ye Old Bookstore. Guy asked, Is somebody starting up the hobby hut again? New store, said Cammy. Don't move your mouth, I warned. What's it called? Guy wanted to know. To twali twantwi, said Cammy. What? Guy demanded. Now you can move your mouth, I said. What did you say? Poor Polly's pantry, she said. What we need here is a video arcade, Guy said. They ought to get one at the fun shop. 2 more seconds, I said to Cammy, erasing the tip of her nose and shortening it a little, just to be on the safe side, then a few sweeps for her hair. Let me see. Not yet. I got out my black Magnum 44 marker and went over the lines of her face with the thin, sharp corner of the tip. Then I used wider strokes for her hair. Guy caught a glimpse of the sketch. Nose fair, he reported to Cammy. Ear like the Star Trek guy, Spock. Sorry about that, I said hastily. I got white correction fluid in my book bag. After a little touch up, I propped the sketchbook against a pole. Cammy squinted at it. My neck isn't really that long. It's a caricature, I said patiently. It's supposed to look funny. I'd charge her for it, said Guy. Man down on the waterfront gets $10. Cammy got out her violin and began to play something that sounded like what you'd have to practice in order to keep violin teachers happy. The gazebo steps creaked, and we glanced around. A short, stout man wearing a flowered shirt and shorts stood there panting. There's shade up here, Mildred, he called behind him, and a child violinist. Nice song, he said to Cammy. Don't let me interrupt you. Then he glanced down at the sketchbook. Who drew that? I did. Not bad, Mildred, look at that. What do you think? The woman smiled vaguely. She glanced at Cammy and then at the sketch. Isn't her nose a little long? Cammy snickered. Listen, son, the man said to me. Would you draw my wife? Albert, his wife said impatiently. Just a quick sketch, like you did for this girl. Wait till I'll tell the guys back in Connecticut that I bought a caricature from a child artist. What about it? $5 is a charge, Guy said cautiously. I went into a brief coughing spell. Between spasms, I heard Albert say to Guy, What are you, his agent? Well, tell him it's a deal. After a long, level glance at Guy, I told the woman where to sit. Everyone went reverently silent as I drew. Fortunately, the woman had an easy face to sketch. I also remembered what the cartoon books said about flattering females, so I didn't get too creative. Good job, Albert cried, taking the page after I'd torn it out. Where can I get this framed? Cammy pointed him in the direction of the art place, one of the country hamlet stores, and after giving me 5 $1 bills, he dropped the sixth into her violin case. Nice music, he said, and trotted off with Mildred, who was holding the sketch and staring at it with a dubious air. Guy grinned at me after they'd gone. You owe me $1, Mark. I'm your agent. I shrugged and handed him one. Gammy gets one of your dollars, too. I have mine, she reminded him. You're a model, he insisted. It was your face that gave Mark his first sketching job, and your violin playing probably caught their attention in the first place. I don't even like my picture, Sorry, Mark. Then let me buy it from you, Guy said promptly. Here's a buck. Stop burbling, Mark, and listen. I'm going to bring an easel over here from the art palace and hang Cammie's picture on it. I'll print a sign that says you'll do caricatures for $5. Great gifts for family and friends. People will line up for blocks. Cammie lifted her violin to her chin again. What about Mrs. Wentworth? She asked. Yeah, Guy, I said. What about Dina Wentworth? If you're going to run a business, you got to pay rent. Suddenly we heard the scuff, scuff, scuff of running shoes, and Jean Horton, who operates the Friend to Friend Center, a clothing bank a block west of the hamlet, ran gasping up the gazebo steps. Listen, she panted. Someone stole my purse over at the center. It had my credit cards in it and a lot of cash, a big donation. Have you seen anybody carrying it around? And that, I guess you could say, was the real start of the great graffiti mystery.